Hi beautiful people. So I wanted to jump on and talk about vision. So I wrote a post yesterday about losing my vision. Vision as in not my physical eyes, obviously, my vision for my life or my goals. And I had a few people reach out to me about that, and I wanted to speak more on it because I believe we are definitely in a season where visions have been altered, or what once was just doesn't resonate anymore, or maybe because of the circumstances of the world right now, it feels like you can't get ahead and that your vision feels more difficult to bring into fruition. So because I've been on my own journey with this over the last 6 months, with many things within me changing and going on a pretty big transformational journey myself, I wanted to touch on what to do when you feel like it's all kind of feels dark and numb. And not dark as in, or maybe for you dark might mean a difficult place, but more like you feel like you're in the void, but you're not feeling great in the void. Because when you're truly in the void, you're empty of content and you're in this space of possibility, and that's where so much creation can happen. And I want you to get comfortable in that space of emptiness, where it feels like you don't know what's next. Because from my experience of being detached from the vision I had for many years, I was able to open myself up to things that I couldn't do before, and tapping into new abilities and new gifts, and channeling new streams of consciousness, and working on things that excited me more. So I wrote just a couple of bullet points because I haven't done a live stream for a while, and I wanted to just, really nail these points. But the first one is to understand the vibration. There's a fly. Oh, and I've got sorry, if you're wondering what this is, I'm all attached to my frequency device right now because I'm running a frequency through my body, through my Healy frequency device. So this was the perfect time to do a live stream while I had that going on. First point is to understand the vibration of the vision rather than the details of the vision. So sometimes we might have this really big goal and we think it looks like X, Y, and Z. But we have come to that conclusion through our own human mind and what we know exists for us. And I've preached this message for a long time, and I truly believe it, and I see it happening in my own life, is that when you let go of those details and the attachment to those details, you open yourself up to so much more, and then you become the creator that is completely aligned with source energy, that brings into your life things that you didn't know you wanted, you didn't know were available for you, and it's just more of an expansive place to be. And usually when that takes form, you'll notice that the vibration is still the same, the frequency is still the same as what your vision was. So sometimes, for instance, for me, I was in the personal development space, and my vision for like the last 7 years has been around that, working with people and developing programs and writing books and being very focused on personal development. But underneath that is a frequency. Underneath that is the underlying current of inspiration and encouragement and expansion. So when I started letting go and unhooking from what I thought I wanted to do, and also saw within that the shadows of why I was doing that, because sometimes, like, you'll hear this term, the wounded healer. The more I healed and transolved, is that the right word? A lot of my shadow. I'm still got lots of shadow, don't get me wrong, and I've still got a long way to go. We're always on this journey, right? But the more I did that, the less I wanted to work with people and wanted to be healing people, right? The more I healed myself, the less I wanted to be in that space, because I could see that there was this shadow of the reasons why. But the vibration was always the same. So when new things came into my life, they still had the same frequency. They still had the same undercurrent of inspiration and expansion and shifting consciousness and hacking the body, the mind, and just tapping into human potential. But I just started moving in different directions, right? So for myself, it was like I moved away from a lot of that space of working one-on-one with people and started focusing my gifts on developing a new product and going into a whole different space, which I never saw coming, but I still needed to use a lot of the same gifts of being able to channel information and tap into source energy. And also I still want to, as I go along in my journey within that, I still want to encourage and inspire through that, right? So it's just understanding the vibration and the essence of what the vision is and detaching yourself from it looking a certain way. And sometimes this is the hardest part for people because they're so attached and they may have that shadow of wanting to prove themselves that they're not willing to step away because they think if I step away, it means that I've quit. And I see this the most with people, that they are so brainwashed, especially in the personal development space, to never give up, that they don't want to give up and they're holding on to this thing even though they know they're no longer in alignment with it right now, right? Or even though they're getting these hits of inspiration to do something else, but they don't want to give up, right? But you don't have to give up, and that's what I want to share more about within my own story as well. As it's not about giving up, it's just really listening to spirit and understanding what is actually happening when you feel like you don't have vision anymore, because there is actually magic happening within that space as well. Don't be scared of the nothingness. I touched on that point before, but the nothingness is the 0 point, and it is definitely the space of creativity. It is the space where you hear source energy. It is the space where anything goes. And no matter what's happening in your life, a lot of the times we get so scared of this, whether we're dating, whether we're in a relationship that's not working, whether we are at a job or building a career. It's like we don't want to let go because we're scared of the nothingness of like, what am I going to do now? And it feels like there's no purpose. When you're in that, it feels like there's no purpose. But that's shadow talking, and you're not truly in the nothingness when you're still consumed by the content of your mind and those shadows. So when you're in that space and it scares you, is to dive deeper into it and look at it and see what's coming up there. When you feel like, oh, I've got no purpose, ask yourself, what am I making that mean? What am I making it mean? It's about losing the meaning of anything. And I definitely have gone through that, especially during this COVID period, because I felt like I was less busy, but I was the most unproductive. And I was judging myself quite a lot around that. And I had to really pull myself up and go, no, I'm really listening into spirit. And I really am having to ask myself, what am I making that mean? Why am I seeing it as a bad thing? You know, even that feeling of not having purpose, it's like, I just sat with that sometimes. And I'm like, and what happens if I don't have purpose? And I kept going deeper into it and just allowed myself to be in the nothingness, the dullness and nothingness of life. I had been in that vision, ambitious space for so long that to take a step back and be like, who am I without all that? Who am I if I don't have a reason to get up during the day? Who am I if I am unproductive and lazy? Who am I within all that? Because it's about unlayering all of the identity. Because when we do that, that is when we tap into our true gifts and surprising gifts. And that has been my journey, and it blows my mind sometimes that the things that I see come into my life, because they come in, especially the abilities that come in, like my art, for instance. And I always say this on my live streams this year. It's like that space came from dropping identity and dropping stories that I couldn't do something, right? So you never know how your universal self, your higher self, will surprise you with what is underneath all those stories, all those layers, and that happens in the nothingness. And sometimes those little things are what lead you to the next bit, right? So you may have the guidance to try something new or do something, and you're like, but that's got nothing to do with anything. But it does. It has everything to do with everything, because it might be training a new part of your brain, or it might be leading you down a path to meet someone. You just never know what's going to happen, right? So don't be scared of the nothingness. It is the true creation zone. And if you don't know what it feels like to be in the nothingness, then I would suggest that you get really comfortable with the nothingness. Use the time of this nothingness to be still, be silent, and really fine-tune your intuitive gifts that we all have. We are so distracted by noise that we don't hear our own guidance, and sometimes it's the little voices that say, do this. For me, becoming an artist in training, it was like, that's how it started. A little voice that said, you have to draw. So I drew, and it brought in like so much. So listening. And then when you feel ready to take more action, and you're like, okay, I know that now is the time to move forward, and start really looking at, who am I now? What is my vision now? What would I like to create in my life? Then, because of the stillness, you have more space and ability to listen. So in the listening, you're asking yourself, well, what my universal self, what would I be doing today? Spirit, God, what would you have me do today? Where would you have me go? It's a prayer from A Course in Miracles. But it's like, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? Who would you like me to speak to? And what would you like me to say, basically? And I've lived by that for a long time. So it's always checking in of like, okay, what is it that I could do? So the last thing, if you are in the space of okay, I'm ready to like move forward in creating something, and you may not be really clear on what your vision is at this point, then I'd suggest you do something like a 30-day bold living action plan, or I posted a video which is of a girl called Renee who leads a lot of teachings in reality transurfing, and she's got a YouTube video which is talking about 30 days of action and I can't say the word, whatever, action, right? And I started doing that yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this because I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to like move into action. And I haven't written out 30 yet, but I've started writing out and brainstorming ideas. And the action doesn't have to be towards a goal, right? The actions are about moving the energy, because when you are in that season of like, I don't know what to do, my vision's gone, at some point you do start to get quite stuck in your energy, and you have to be really attuned into your intuition to know the point of, okay, I've been in the nothingness, I've accepted the nothingness, now I'm ready for the action. And that's when you need to move the energy. So it's about moving energy, and you create a massive vortex that's like, that's ready to support you when you take those actions. So yesterday I did that, and today was my day one, and I took one of my actions, and it was something I had been really stuck on in this product I'm developing. And I've been working on all the prototypes and doing everything myself. And yesterday I was like, okay, enough's enough. I've gone through a lot of the fears underneath my procrastination, because that's the other thing. You have to look at whether there's fears going on around your procrastination. I really looked at that. I've been doing a lot of EFT. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get support. So I got on a call with someone that actually can take over my prototype development now and work with manufacturers, and they know the industry. It's a fashion product, so they know the industry, so they know the things that my head can't really get very far in. And so I jumped on a call and I agreed today to like go to work with her. Like I agreed with her hourly rate for consulting and all the fees and getting the prototype made overseas and all that type of thing. And I felt so good that I took that action. So that is part of my bigger vision. So when I said I lost my vision, I lost aspects that I've had for years, but this is one of the new things that came in of developing this product when I let go of the identity of the track I thought I was going on. And this is just one thing. And for me, it's like, it's just, I have so much detachment from this particular project that for me, it's about just taking action and bringing an idea to life and getting it as far as I can. And I know that that will move me in the right direction, right? So it's understanding that the action and the steps, the action is not always about getting you to the end goal. It's about moving the energy, developing yourself within that, doing things that are scary and breaking and disrupting the patterns that are your human psyche and the things making up your identity. So the more you do that, the more you start evolving with your vision, and then you start tapping into a new space, a new energy. You start being at this higher frequency or faster frequency or source frequency, however you want to word it. You start moving into that space, and that's the space where you will have ideas. Like every idea already exists, and it's about tapping into that pool of information that may be from the future, that may be from other places, worldly places, right? But it's knowing that you have that ability. But the more you break down your current identity is when you're going to get there. Okay, so how do you break down your current identity? Is that you do the inner work, you do practices, energetic practices that help you, like EFT, breath work. They're the two that I do all the time, and I've done them for years. They're the biggest transformational tools that I know of. I'm sure there are many, 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 many more and evolving things. I've also had breakthroughs without any type of modality as well. These frequencies, so I've got this frequency device on here. This was another thing that blew my mind. I'm going to take a sip of my wine because I haven't been drinking, but I'm allowing myself wine. If you watched my story yesterday, I said I've stopped drinking alone at home. Well, I'm not alone, so I'm here with you guys. So, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So this frequency device sends actual frequency into the body. So right now I've got this on my wrist and I feel like a buzzing, my hands are tingling, my arms are tingling. And sometimes it's like more of a shocking feeling, but normally it's just a nice tingly feeling. And I just upgraded my device, so I've got more programs. And yesterday I ran this acute mental program. I don't know why, my intuition was just guiding me to. I didn't feel like I needed mental help, but obviously did. And I attached the device to my ears for this one. And I got super dizzy when I did it. It was really full on. I didn't really like it at the time. But that's when I came up with 30 freaking action steps. And I got things moving. And it was like something switched in my brain. It was literally like getting currents sent to my brain to make it work better. I don't know if that's a technical term. But that's what was happening. And I really believe that had a lot to do with it, because this particular action step of calling this woman and hiring her is something that I've put off for months and months and months and months and months and just couldn't move forward with. So sometimes it does help to use these other technologies, like this specific frequency device, to help me take that action step, because I was really stuck. If you feel stuck, it's usually an energetic issue. Procrastination is often an energetic issue. So that's what you get to look at. So I'm going to leave it there so this live stream isn't too long. I really hope that helps you if you feel really like blur or stuck in your vision. A lot of people do right now, just because, one, because of what's going on in the world, two, that things are really shifting on a consciousness level. So we're all evolving and dissolving. Evolving and dissolving, dissolving and evolving. So it's natural, but it doesn't mean that your life isn't going to be amazing. But if you start like moving the energy in whatever way you can, then you have it ignite. Like today I feel like it's just ignited again. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. If you have any feedback, comments, need help with anything, leave a comment, send me a message. Always open to connect. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now.